Hello everyone, this is Parrot Cinema with a new video about video game trivia. Today, we're going to return to the topic of the FNAF franchise and its fun games. Especially, a fun game that stands out from the rest for its 2D aesthetics. We're talking about the outstanding fan game Playtime with Percy. In today's video, we'll take a detailed look at the characters in the fun game and a few interesting facts that are truly amazing. Without further ado, I'm Parrot Cinema, and let's get started. The titular mascot of Percy's Playhouse. Percy is a poodle animatronic who likes to play games, rock out on stage, and make new friends. He hasn't been acting quite the same this week though. Maybe all he needs is a hug? Percy Poodle was one of the first characters designed for this game. Originally, he was meant to look a little bit more organic, and even shared some feature with Fraggle from the Banana Splits. I think this version of Percy was the best though. He's so fluffy after all! Percy Poodle, otherwise simply as known just as Percy, is the first and primary antagonist of Playtime with Percy. He's the titular performer at Percy's Playhouse, known for his self-centered and rebellious personality. Through Nick's shift, Percy is controlled by Nick's pal Percy, in an attempt to prevent Nick from leaving Percy's Playhouse as much as possible during this week, eventually being overtaken by his pal Percy during the events of Friday morning. Percy Poodle is an anthropomorphic white poodle with grey accents and black accessories. He's primarily composed of white fur, grey ears, grey stomach, and grey toes. He wears a red collar with a golden emblem that displays a large P, along with spiked black bracelets and fingerless black gloves. Percy has a cheerful expression characterized by a sharp white smile. Though his body, red, green, and blue wires are visible throughout the joints of each individual animatronic component. According to the Repairing Percy minigame, his wires consist of red, blue, and yellow wires, along with a Soul Paltronic power box located in the center, requiring employees to complete the 3 tasks in order to access his core. Starting on Wednesday night, Percy Poodle will slowly creep up to the office door, located in the far right of the office itself. Percy Poodle will slowly approach the door in phases, and in this last one, he's going to only be showing his sharp smile through the window of the door. Afterward, he's going to start banging the door with his own fist in a repeatedly attempt to break the door and also attack Nick directly. Percy Poodle is going to always try to be scaring the players, and also this one has to be really aware when Percy is going to attack and react when the time is right. Once Percy Poodle starts to bang the fist against the door, the player has to hold the door still, shut it until Percy Poodle stops the attack. It's an ability that is going to be given since Wednesday night onwards. After a short while, Percy Poodle will give up and retreat back into the darkness. If player ignores this or fails, Percy Poodle will swing in the door in, and this means that he already break it in, just before he's going to give you a jump scare. The lovable feline with a trick up his sleeve. Charlie Cat is an animatronic cat who loves to tell jokes, perform general and simple circus tricks, and put on shows for the children. Despite this, he loves all the attention. What a show hog! Charlie Cat wasn't even meant to be a cat in the first place. Charlie was originally meant to be a tiger at some point, but when the artists were trying to pick the colors, they realized that orange was not gonna fit him. So afterwards, they thought about the idea of making him a cat. Even if this was an original idea, was the best route to go with. Charlie Cat, otherwise also known as Charlie, is the secondary antagonist of Playtime with Percy. He's a clown-themed grey feline animatronic and one of the main performers at Percy's Playhouse, entertaining alongside Mother Moose and Percy Poodle. He's most notable for his clumsy, oblivious personality. During these shifts, Charlie is controlled by Nick's pal Percy in an attempt to prevent Nick Nicholson from leaving Percy's Playhouse for as much possible on his week-long shift. During Action Automation, he He roams around the workplace as next actuations of the Percy and Co. animatronics. Charlie Cat is a gray anthropomorphic cat dressed as a clown. He wears a bright yellow party hat with a red cotton tip and has shiny silver fur with light gray accents. His eyes are highlighted by a blue makeup and he has sharp teeth and black nose. He wears a striped sweater in blue, red, and yellow with 2 cotton balls in the chest. His yellow trousers are covered in bold red polka dots, and he finished the look with long, square boots with dark laces. He's one of the first animatronics that's going to be starting to move on Monday night onwards. Charlie Cat will slowly make his way towards Nick by creeping around the building, starting on the show stage before moving into the Yellow Craft Room and then the Rat Cave. He'll then decide if he wants to tag either through the Green Playroom and eventually make his way through the bright ventilation shaft or through the Blue Storage Room, making the same route but through the left ventilation instead. Players can use the Pal Boy to locate Charlie Cat before he enters either ventilation shaft. Once he does, player must be aware of an audible sound cue signalizing that he's going to appear momentarily. When he does, player must keep both of their Pal Boy and Pal Percy down for a short duration before Charlie Cat reaches back into the vents. If player chooses to ignore this and have either one of the devices open, Charlie Cat will jump scare the player and after a short grace period. The hard-working farmer, Farmer Felix, is a ferret animatronic who was made simply to be another addition to Percy and his lackeys. Felix was recently programmed to be able to play Simon Says with the children, but started acting weird due to it. It's best to avoid eye contact with him. Farmer Felix was actually one of the last characters added to the game, and it was really handful to the program. He eventually was breaking all the time on the team, and eventually they got him working. But it's kinda ironic in the universe because it's also a really broken character. Just like when he was being programmed. Farmer Felix, otherwise known as Felix, is a secondary antagonist in Playtime with Percy. He's a farmer-themed ferret animatronic, originally a performer but reprogrammed to play Simon Says with the kids. During Farmer's Serenade, he malfunctioned and stumbled while trying to move towards Nick's office, which forces Nick to repair his inner console to prevent further issues for the upcoming. Farmer Felix is a bipedal animatronic that is a ferret with pale brown color. He has black eyes with white pupils, a pink nose, inner ears and fingertips, light brown accents on his muzzle, stomach and tail undersides, being black and C-shaped eyebrows and bird stubble. And finally, he wears a red cap with 2 golden peas inside of a yellow circle, green overalls with yellow buttons, a darker green pouch, and brown boots with black straps. This being noticed that in his hands and lower finger sections are black, reminiscent of fingerless gloves, just like Percy Poodle. On Tuesday night onwards, Farmer Felix will occasionally walk through the office hallway, starting from the right and progressing his way slowly to the left, moving at a moderate pace. Alongside this, his eye colors will appear to be one of 4 different variations: red, yellow, blue, and green. While he marches cursively, he's going to attempt to attack Nick through shutting off the power of the building and attacking him through the darkness. Using this newly brought on Simon Says machine, players must watch the color eyes of Felix and match it with the color patterns in this little toy. If Farmer Felix reaches to the opposite side of the hallways, going off screen with his eyes color matching to the one in the machine of Simon Says, he's going to continue walking around the building without any care. If the machine color do not match with his eye color, he's going to walk off screen. Farmer Felix will shut off the power of the building completely, thing that is gonna lead to the jumpscare after a short delay. The caring mother of everyone. Mother Moose is a moose animatronic who takes care of most of the children, or usually tries to distract them with simple games or stories. Usually a Pal Percy or Pal Boy did the trick. Mother Moose was probably the simplest to design. From all the characters, they thought of basic ideas and made them went along. Did you know that female mooses do not grow antlers? Yet Mother Moose has them anyway. I wonder why. Mother Moose, canonically known as Marilyn Moose, is a secondary antagonist in Playtime with Percy. She's a female moose with male features, implying, and then later on confirmed, that she's a transgender woman. She's also one of the main performers at Percy's Playhouse, entertaining alongside Charlie Cat and Percy Poodle. Through Nick's shift, Mother Moose is controlled by Nick's Paul Percy in an attempt to prevent Nick Nicholson from leaving Percy's Playhouse for as much of this week-long shift as possible. During retro hijinks, she'll attempt to sneak up on Nick Nicholson while he's playing Attack on the Space Dogs. Mother Moose is an anthropomorphic brown moose. She has a pair of antlers, despite she being female, and wears a maid dress with the matching accessory. Her outfit has also 2 yellow straps, one in each arm, and also a ring on her right hand, suggesting a possible romantic involvement. Most of her fur is exposed, with the exception of her dark brown hooves, which remain unchanged from the waist down. On Monday night, Mother Moose will slowly creep her way towards Nick, making her way through the building, starting off in the show stage before moving into the red brick room and then the Ratcade. She'll then decide if she wants to attack either through the green parade room and eventually make her way through the right ventilation shaft, or through the blue storage room and make her way through the left ventilation shaft instead. Players can use the Powboy to locate Mother Moose before she enters either ventilation shaft. Once she does, players must be aware of an audible sound cue, using this as a signal that she is going to appear momentarily. Once she does, players must keep their Powboy or Pow Percy up for a short duration before Mother Moose retracts back into the vents. If players choose not to have either of these tools up, Mother Moose will jumpscare the player after a short grace period. This junkyard rodent with a saucy tooth! Rowan Rat is a decommissioned animatronic rat that was left in a storage room to rot. After numerous malfunctions, Rowan was eventually put out of action. But then, how did he get back to the Ratcade? It's a true plot. Rowan Rat was a tricky one to figure out a mechanic for. Originally, he would take 3 whole minutes just to kill you. It was completely ridiculous if we ask. And also, it was really complicated. So they scrapped it and made his mechanic a little bit more simple. With this said, they never shared how he managed to dig underground. Rowan Rat, otherwise simply known as Rowan, is a secondary antagonist in Playtime with Percy. He's a former theme rat animatronic and used to be the main performers in his own theme area. But due to his unappealing nature and constant malfunctions, was replaced by Farmer Felix later on. Through Nick's shift, Rowan is controlled by Nick's Paul Percy in an attempt to prevent Nick Nicholson from leaving Percy's Playhouse for as much of his week-long shift as possible. During Puzzling Power, Nick has to restore power to all 6 sectors connected to Percy's Playhouse, while also watching out for Rowan, who crawls through makeshift holes in the walls. Rowan Rat is an anthropomorphic brown rat, notably missing his legs. His fur lightens from dark brown at the top to lighter brown at the bottom. His ears shows endoskeleton parts, with a small patch of hair between them. One of his eyes is completely outside its socket, resting on his light brown snout, which has a pink nose and 2 buck teeth on the top row, while the bottom row has a regular teeth. He wears a green overall with a golden button. Additionally, one of his arms designed as intended, with a withered light brown color representing and pink bald skin covered by a black glove. On top of this, Rowan Rat has a constant withering all around, which has a hole in his chest, and his entire left arm is missing as it's casing. On Thursday night onwards, players are given the access to the radar system that is inside of the Powboy allowing them to view underground detection system embedded into the four corners of the establishment, being located on the red break room, green playroom, blue storage, and yellow craft room. Upon starting the night, Rowan Rat will attempt to attack Nick through digging underground, using the tunnels located in the mentioned room before to disable the Pale Boy, as well as the only means of defense between him and Nick. Players must use the Pale Boy radar system to find and locate Rowan, and use the shocker on him when he's visible in any of these rooms, or sequentially when the radar system detects Rowan in a room, visible by the text turning red alongside glaring text that reads motion detected. If player fails to use the shock on Rowan on time, he will cause the player Pale Boy to lose connection right before appearing in front of them, cloning his way up swiftly. He remains motionless momentarily before the jump scare. The mischievous toys, the Playful Poodles, are a set of 3 poodle animatronics resembling Percy Poodle, and they were made shortly after the creation of the Paul Percy's hit success. They've been behaving just how you would expect them to, disrespectfully. There's no stopping them though. They're just toys after all. The Playful Poodles were actually added because they were joking and say, what if those props at the end of the hallways in the office were alive? And everyone pursued them to call them into the mix. So they did. And just to clear something up, yes, they hate them just as much as you probably do yourself. The Playful Poodles are small, white toy poodles close resembling to Percy Poodle. Each one of them are small in size, looking similar to one of the office props of Percy Poodles, having gray bodies, arms, and legs. Albeit shortened down, each poodle has a unique accessory to alongside them. Tim wears a collar like Percy. Tad draws a toothy smile and a red bow tie with a P emblem in the center. And Todd has 2 red bow ties on her ears and wears a necklace similar to Tim's collar. The 3 Playful Poodles, while sharing the same space in Custom Hour, each work in a unique way. They all attempt to disrupt or destroy crucial mechanics that aid Nick in his survival and pose no threat to him lethally, outside of a single exception. Tim will occasionally leave his box located directly outside of the office hallways, playing a small squeak sound. The players has to quickly look frantically on the Pale Boy to find him and stare him down until he retreats back to his box. If players fail to do this, Tim will cut the connection to the Pale Boy for the rest of the night, leaving Rowan Rat and also the Custom Hour exclusive animatronic, Helios, much more prone to players. That will occasionally leave his box, just like Tim, playing a small audible squeak sound. Players, when they notice that it's standing outside of the office, holding a long cord, players are encouraged to quickly complete a minigame on the Paul Percy, as doing this will make Tad retreat going back to his box. If Tad is left alone for too long, however, he will cut the power to the Paul Percy, disable it for the rest of the night, leaving the players unable to progress through the night. Todd will occasionally leave her box, just like Tad and Tim, allowing the player to listen to the small squeak sound. She will make herself known slightly by opening the door in the office. Players then must quickly shut the door on her to make her retreat. If players fail to do this, Todd will swing the door open and allow Percy Poodle to approach at much faster pace, regardless of his AI level on the night. Todd is technically the only Playful Poodle who can jump scare players, even though Percy Poodle is the one who performs this action. When night 5 arrives, things get a little complicated. Everything becomes darker, terrifying, and the creatures we'll see as cute now becoming terrifying. All controlled by our friend Paul. With that said, let's start with the characters exclusive to this specific night. Your best and only Paul! Paul is the final boss of Playtime with Percy. He's a combination of Percy Poodle and your Paul Percy. being the result of caring for it too much. While not explicitly detailed, Paul is actually the one controlling every animatronic in the game, all for the goal of getting you to stay. What a parasite. Paul was a very tricky character to get right, and not just for gameplay reasons. Sure, his boss fight was intimidating to figure it out the right mix of it, but also finding a way to have the story make sense for him. If you're going to ask what exactly is the Paul Percy, perhaps that's a story to tell later down the line. Paul, otherwise simply known as Paul or Paul Percy, is the overreaching antagonist of Playtime with Percy, revealing his true nature prior to begin Friday morning. Upon failing to get Nick to stay at Percy's playhouse forever through attempting to send the animatronic housed within the playhouse after him each night, he takes it upon himself to get the task done, using Percy Poodle's animatronic husk as a host to not only pilot himself around, but to keep Nick trapped in the building forever so the two will never be apart again. Usually, Paul is a small white oval-shaped device with a centered green screen that has two cartoonish eyes on top of it, having 3 red buttons underneath the screen as well. The left button showcases a simple sticker of ham, the right one showcases a yellow happy face holding a ball, and the middle one showcases 2 water droplets, his face usually having a pixelated version of Percy Poodle's face, which progressively gets more and more distortionated as the game continues. While he's controlling Percy Poodle's body, he looks similar to the animatronic itself, though there's now a large hole in the torso. Inside of it, he's attached himself to the machinery with black wires. These wires are also wrapping around the rest of the robot, the missing eyes, and also has exposed the skeleton hands with sharp gray claws with black wires. On top of this, the Paul Percy's face changes to simplistically a pair of eyes and a mouth, which often becomes more detailed and manic looking as Paul speaks. During Friday morning, Paul has 3 attacks, or also known as charges, that can perform at any time, gaining the ability to perform more attacks as the fight progresses. On charge 1 onwards, Paul will randomly appear in one of the 4 corners of the building: Rusted Brick Room, Yielding Craft, Non-Playroom, and also Blue Storage, requesting the player to find him through the storage room TVs. Upon being found, he will request one of the 3 items to be given to him: a piece of meat, a cup, or a bowl. Player must then find the desired item on the Paw Boy, with it always appearing on the final camera, then checking the cheering Paul as soon as the item is clicked. If player take too long or fail to find Paul or the item in time, Paul will jump scare the player. On charge 3 onwards, Paul will randomly appear to stomp towards the storage room door, indicating by a loud metallic footstep. Soon after, Paul will firstly slam himself against the door, mechanically and visually, being similar to Percy Poodle's main mechanic from the night prior. Player must hold the storage room door shut until he lives to deter Paul. If player fails to do this, Paul will break into the room and cause a jumpscare not long after. On charge 5 onwards, Paul will randomly send down his Paul Percy, abandoning his husk and forcing players to play a shuffling cup minigame, with the cups shuffling 3 times before being allowed for player interaction. The player must click on the cup containing the Mollify him. If player selects the incorrect cup or takes too long, Paul will maniacally laugh at the player before jump scaring them. If he kills the player in this way, he will have a unique jump scare where his casing breaks in half, exposing his circuit board and internal face made with wires. If the given charge is complete while his attack is active, the attack will be cancelled, though Paul will react as if the player selected the correct cup. The luckiest of your best pal. During the fight against Paul, these 4 sentient Paul Percy's toys will attempt to get to their office in many unique ways, but also utterly comical, using their new bodies as hosts to be able to move around. What happened to them after the fight anyways? No one really knows. The Tama-Terrors were a very late addition, but also the best one they could have made. Originally, the fight against Paul was going to be just him, then him alongside with the other robots. That sounded a bit boring though. A friend then suggested to them, what if the enemies were different Paul Percy toys? The rest is history. The Tama-Terrors are a group of antagonists in Playtime with Percy who only appears during the Friday morning boss fight. They're hijacked, mutated version of the Paul Percy's toys who work alongside each other in a unique and different ways in an attempt to help Paul to get Nick to stay at Percy's Playhouse forever. Tama-Lanky is a high mutated version of Paul Percy toy. Like the rest of the Tama-Terrors, it retains familiar features from the merchandise. It's a small, white oval-shaped body with a sentinel green screen and then buttons. However, it has elongated black limbs that stretch in a some way zigzag manner, with two of them lifting its eyeballs above its body. On chart 1, in the boss fight of the Friday morning, Tama-Lanky may grow out of the EM Paw in 6 distinct phases. In the 5th and 6th stage, Tama-Lanky will begin to be starting to shake as it means of it gaining more awareness. When Tama-Lanky grows in any phase given, player must complete any minigame on the EM Paw to receive its progress by 1. This encourages players to always tend to their AM Paw during the chaos of the night. Additionally, the only of their Tama-Lankys in the time will attack when the player is not aware of this, no use making pop, and then the run will getting out of time in the fight itself. Tama-Lanky pretty much works kinda similar to the Paul Percy in the normal fights. However, in this night, you have to attempt the different missions in the EM PAL to be able to continue with the night. If the player do not do the minigames, slowly but surely, Tama-Lanky will start to pretty much grow, quote unquote, and attack the player. But if the player runs out of the time, Tama-Lanky will also attack the player, just like the player have been avoided doing the little tasks of the EM PAL. Tama-Broody is a highly mutated version of Paul Percy's toy. Like the rest of the Tama-Terrors, it retains familiar features from the merchandise. It's a small, white oval-shaped body with a centered green screen and thin bottoms. However, its screen is shattered, exposing a black inside with two inconsistently shaped eyes. It also has two powerful arms that are strong enough to break through the walls. On Charge 2 onwards, in Friday morning boss fight, Tama-Broody will begin in either way to break into the storage room or not playroom, leaving either room in 2 phases. Upon this, it will reach the ruined cave before disappearing. After a while, loud repeatedly banging can be heard from either leftmost or rightmost walls of the storage room, or if the additional cues setting on a green bang as an onomatopoeia can be seen instead, whilst the screen shakes. Player must figure out what side Tama-Broody is attacking from and hold on an office card to the wall it is at until it retreats back to the ring cave room. Failure to do so, Tama-Broody will break into the storage room right before a jumpscare occurs. If the aggressive AI's modifier is turned on the custom hour, Tama-Broody simply moves through phases in a quicker time frame than usual. Player must deal with this more quicker than intended following the suit. Tama-Opti is a highly mutated version of the Paul Percy toy. Even if it has the similar features of the merchandise being small, white oval-shaped with the center screen, It has a huge eye in the middle of the screen and also 10 wires sprouting from the back, just like it were an octopus. On the third charge in the Friday morning fight, Tama-Opti can appear in the ring cave in 2 phases. Then it leaves the room notified by a loud metallic scream. When this happens, player must look for Tama-Opti residing in one of the 4 corner cameras, roster break room, jailed craft, broken storage, or the not playroom, and use the shocker to deter it. Fair to do with this will result of Tama-Opti appearing from above before jumpscaring the player moments after. Tama-Roaches are a highly mutated version of Paul Percy's toy, even if they retain the family features from the merchandise, that being the small white oval-shaped body with the center screen and nose to the buttons. These ones have some different things. They have 2 sets of 4 legs, with the toy's eyes functioning as their actual eyes, whilst the mouth is located on the screen. On charge 4 onward on the Friday morning boss fight, Tama-Roaches will occasionally appear crawling out of the storage room, sealing in a quick succession. After a while, they'll latch onto the player's screen randomly, notably in the corners instead of directly in front of their screen. It'll linger until either thrown by a player who drags and tosses the roach away, or until a swarm will jumpscare the player through it. The bird with the word. Truman is a custom hour character who also exclusive to the PAL boss. You might be asking, why isn't he ripped up like Possum? That's because Truman isn't real. His existence breaks all known laws of time, just so he can advertise his holiday theme store. Truman's audition, unlike the other characters, was mostly a joke. It was very hesitant about adding him, but they thought to themselves, this game makes no sense anyway, what the hell, and added him. Do they regret it? Somewhat. But hey, what can you do? Truman the Christmas Bird, otherwise simply known as Truman, is an additional antagonist in Playtime with Percy, only during the Friday morning boss fight. He's an unlockable character in the game, while the custom hour mode, obtained by completing the Festive Friends challenge, additionally unlocking a Paul Percy skin in his likeness dubbed the Tender Truman, and was created by the play team member Soggy Soap during the development of the game. Truman is a bright blue anthropomorphic bird with 3 fingers wings, a yellow beak, and yellow and orange legs. He wears a bright red Christmas themed hat and a red scarf, and is always seen carrying a hatchet in most of these appearances. On any given night, if he's enabled, Truman will randomly spawn in one of the 3 locations to showcase an advertisement of his store, signed out by a loud holiday music playing upon his arrival, on any of the storage room's TV, the EM PAL, or on the PAL board. Players must simply click off these advertisements when it's displayed on either of these devices to delete Truman. If the player fails to do this, or takes too long, Truman will swing his hatchet at them, leading to a jump scare. The Room Dweller. Possum is a character exclusive to the PAL boss custom hour. If you paid attention to the game dev history, you know that there was a scrap Possum character previously mentioned. This is that character, reimagined to fit her current situation. Don't worry about her though, she'll be fine, I think. Possum was a perfect fit for the PAL boss custom hour, though it wasn't an easy pick. About 8 different characters were considered to fill this role. Some will save for later. Polly was the perfect fit among these characters. Reusing a previous scrap character is always a fun idea. Possum, otherwise simply known as Polly, is an addition antagonist in Playtime with Percy only during Friday morning boss fight. She's an unlockable character in the game mode, also obtained by completing the Possum Peril challenge, additionally unlocking a Paul Percy skin in her likeness dubbed the Dear Polly and was created by the play teammate member Tide sucked after the development of the game, later being added to the game through an update. Polly Possum is a light brown anthropomorphic possum who wears a bright orange miner helmet with a lamp situated on the front. She has a lighter brown fur on her muzzle and a pink nose and tail. She wears a turquoise-colored turtleneck sweater, with Liz wearing a bright orange and white vest. She also lacks a pair of legs, but still supports a bright tail and gloves similar to Rowan Rat or Farmer Felix. Upon being overtaken by Paul, Polly Possum retains most of her features, with the major difference being long black wires surrounding her entire body. Her eyes have been exposed, revealing two gray endoskeleton eyes alongside her entire right arm missing its casting. Instead of showing an endoskeleton arm with red, blue, and yellow wires, Willie's her left arm merely has a few holes. Her tail now acts as a spring, being elongated by the black wires. Underneath her chest, a single paw Percy sits, likely having been placed there by Paul. On any given night, if enabled, Polly Possum will gradually make her way down from the storage room ceiling in 3 phases, eventually plopping down fully and laughing to the signal as her attack. Players are required to keep their Ian Pal and Pal Boy away while she's attacking. Kinda mechanically similar to Charlie Cat. After a while, she'll spring back up into the ceiling, saying "Bye-bye" to signal the character to players to change. If the player fails to keep their tools down, Polly Possum will attack the players from above, causing a jump scare. The fan game received several cameos in other works outside the community, such as in the Roblox experience, which it contains a line of dialogue referring to Paul Percy. This is interesting because Painter shares the same voice actor as the character, with 2 lines referring to him. "If you compare me to that annoying knockoff toy, you're dead to me." And "If it isn't my worst pal." Other cameos referring to the saga can be found in the indie mascot horror game called Indigo Park, where we find a stuffed poodle with many similarities to Percy, or in Shipwreck 64, a horror ARG project where you can find a small Paul Percy lying in one of the rooms. Following on from the previous curiosities, collaboration or cameos have also led to productions from the FNAF community itself, such as in some fan games where Percy and his companions make an appearance, such as in Too Many Nights, where they are added an addition, enemies to the fan game, or in Chica's Party World Rebaked, where they are mentioned in a cross-out list as reference to the Paltronics. Mother Moose is one of the characters in the game who is part of the LGBT+ community. This is a confirmed data by the wiki and the game itself in the character biography. It's really interesting because she turns out to be transgender, as she has a characteristic feature of male mooses, which are their enormous antlers. This was taken into account from the moment of their creation, as the file refers to a character as Mr. Moose, the only known character with that name being Mother Moose. This has also been confirmed by the development team itself. Originally, the character of Charlie was not going to be conceived as a cat. In the original plans, Charlie Cat was originally going to be a tiger, as can be clearly seen in the extras and in the character description. Following from the previous curiosity, one of the characters' description that Felix's legs belonged to Rowan Rat. Since they had no spare legs, they decided to take Rowan. An interesting fact is that the Playful Poodles were not previously directly linked to Percy. According to the canonically and also their creator, the 3 poodles are Percy's younger siblings. At the same time, the 3 poodles each have a defined gender, although one of them is non-binary. Tad, the second poodle of the 3, has been classified as such in his description, wiki, and also by the team. Fun fact! all pulse dependencies, such as the Tama-Terrors, and with the Latin I in the reference to the word Tamagotchi, making a great pun on what the characters are. The game currently has its own merchandise as these characters are completely original. They even supported the creator and the dev team, with their first piece of merchandise being the Percy plush toy from the makeshift website, alongside with Paul Percy's with a removable face. Currently, they also had a pack of Tama-Terrors pin. Unfortunately, the plush toys are no longer available as they were made for a limited purchase campaign, although you can still get the Tama-Terrors pins. The design of Percy Poodle is inspired by Flegel from the Banana Splits, something well known since Faceit created several fan games featuring the characters from the Banana Split. And to finish this, with the Curiosities, the game currently has 2D animated shorts by the artist Bampi Matsu and 2 3D animated shorts for the ads about the merchandise featuring the characters. Well, that's all for today. What do you think of the video about this amazing 2D fan game? Let me know in the comment section. I'm Parrot Cinema, and I'll see you in the next video.